Hello everybody, it is Raising a Warrior Meets here with you today, and we have the absolute pleasure of having Carol Marshall with us to answer some questions. And we also have the absolute pleasure of working with Carol on our Learning Month feature. So she did a lot of stuff on creativity, which we shared with you on our website. There'll be all sorts of links to that as well to follow. So, hi Carol, how are you doing?
Hi.
And we've also
very well.
Good, and we've also got Naomi here as well, obviously.
Hello.
My right-hand man. So,
I'm a woman.
right.
I look half decent this morning. I'm usually doing pants.
We're all doing well.
We're all doing well. All right, so we'll start with first question. So, Carol, is honesty always the best policy when talking to children about difficult topics, in your opinion?
Well, as a teacher, mother, and now nanny grandma, they call me nanny. I was actually sat round the table yesterday, and it's actually made me think of this. My daughter is changing schools with her children. It's a long story. But I have a 4.5-year-old who's going on 44 actually. But we think she may end up as a High Court judge. But she's very good at saying, that's not what I think, and I'm doing this. And so she got a lovely letter, and I highly praised the school where she's going, which is one in Tickhill. And it said, "Dear Anna, la la la, thank you, for thinking of our school to come to, blah blah blah." And we really look for it. And it was a little booklet about what to expect and all the things that a classroom would have, etc. And she sat there, and she wanted me to read it verbatim. And Chloe said, "You have no idea how many times I've read this one." And I said, "She needs to have it in her head. What's going to happen?" And honestly, the best policy is to be honest. This is what's going to happen, Anna. You're going to go to this classroom, you're going to be this new teacher, and there's a teacher picture, etc., etc. And then she thought about it, and she's a clever little monkey. And she said, "But what if I'm nervous?" And I'm going, I said, "No, I think the nervous will be the teacher having you." I said, "She'll be nervous having you because she's never met you before." I said, "And everybody's going to be nervous." I said, "But within, I don't know, a morning, having your milk and whatever, you'll be absolutely fine anyway. Mummy will be with you for a little while, and then she'll go." She thought about it. She said, "I think that's a good idea, don't you, Nana?" I think that's a good idea. That way I just have to think that everybody else is going to be like. So honesty, absolutely, is the best policy. I don't care what it is. Yeah. She lost her, she came home from Australia. She'd been to Australia for 2 years, and that kid has just taken everything in her stride. And if as long as you're honest with them, don't beat around the bush. I mean, obviously you've got to pick your language and take them slowly if that's the kind of child that you have. But in the end, you have to tell them the truth. Because if you don't, they'll never trust you.
That's very true.
As you went through this explanation with her, could you feel that security sort of growing and building, and that feeling
absolutely.
I've kind of got an idea of this situation now, rather than it being a big unknown?
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously she's been to a different school, and she's now going to go and transition into a different one, and she'll have a new uniform and everything. But we made, Chloe and I, who's very sensible, sort of spoke about how exciting it would be, how making new friends is what we do all the time. That's part of being, who we are. And we made it feel like it was an adventure, and to have these adventures is all about being a grown-up little girl. So yes, we did. And we talked her through it.
Yeah, and I like how you didn't shy away from the statement about nerves and the question about nerves. I like how you just said, yeah, you're going to feel nervous.
Well, I was sat there listening to it all. You laugh now. And I've been making my daughter some masks, cotton masks, and she's a doctor, anyway. So I mean, so she said, Nanny, what are you making? What are these for? And so I said, well, it's for Mummy to put on when she goes to the supermarket because she doesn't want the germs to go up her nose and in her mouth. And then we came home, we take it off and we put it in the washing machine. So do you know what she did? She went into her room and she found a mask that she has, which is a medical kit little thing, and it was to be a dentist. So she pretended that she was putting this mask on for half an hour and she was being the dentist. And then she took it off and she said, I've got to put it in the washing now.
Oh,
She's not down.
Brilliant.
But anyway, honesty. Getting back
honesty,
to
best policy. Great.
Absolutely.
Okay, over to you, Naomi.
Question 2. Have any children in your care, yours or other people's children, done or said anything so inspiring that you have then used it on your own journey?
Good.
Yeah. Gosh, I could quite a few, but one little girl sits in my head, and I taught this child 15 years ago. It seems like a long time ago, but it must be a good 10 to 15 years ago. And at the time she was 8.
Yeah.
And I used to have a group of children who came to I called it my masterclass. And they always used to do something at the end of the school day. They used to have prep because I used to teach at Hill House. And then they came to my masterclass and they were all ages.
Yeah.
So I had sort of like 8-year-olds to 13-year-olds, although it was a massive art room. And this kid said to me, I don't know, maybe at the end of the year, I can't remember how it came out, but she was so creative, it wasn't true.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter what you gave her, she just had to go with it. And I loved what she used to do. And then I had the biggest compliment because and it made me cry at the time. I'm filling up now. She said, Mrs. Marshall, you smile with your eyes. And I thought to myself, that's massive in a child's sort of instinct. Yeah. If you're not coming across as somebody who's giving and empathetic and they can see it, you know, then they want to be the best that they can. And from that point, you know, I always think about, I can't say no, but I always think about her and how I inspired her because she could see the inspiration within me that gave her that impetus to just go for it.
Yeah. I think sometimes as well with children, because of their simplicity and how they see life, they just kind of peel away all the rubbish and dirt, and they just remind us of these moments of purity is the word I would put to it. And you listen to them and you think, wow, actually you've got this more sus than I have. I should be listening to you. And they just
hit it on the head.
They remind us of that. And that's beautiful, because I think we forget sometimes that children can see the languages that aren't always words, and that little girl of yours has just seen that actually you're not only smile with your words, your mouth, but it comes from all of you.
Yeah. And it does. I mean, we can pick up, can't we? I mean, I've been around children all my life, but you can pick up instinctively where there's maybe somebody not, you know, quite right, or as a child not, you know, interacting as it usually did or could. And instinctively, it's those expressions that you pick up on.
Yeah.
And what they don't express.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Samantha.
Question 3.
To me, that sort of always stayed with me. And
that
always
is really lovely.
I can even see it now.
All right. Question 3. What are the 2 main obstacles you feel children are facing today as they grow up?
Well, I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4.5-year-old, you know, grandchildren wise, and I've been interacting with them obviously a lot lately. I would say my 3 children, my grandchildren, are pretty well sort of schooled in coping with change, because they've had a lot of change in their life, I mean, they've been to Australia and back, I said, and they've been to various schools. This will be the third one they've gone to. So I think, obstacle-wise, children need to become more resilient. And the obstacles they face are people, peers usually, who say they can't do something, or they shame them for, you know, thinking that they've got a funny name, or there's something wrong with them. And these children think, you know, this is acceptable for them to do this. It all depends, I think, also on again, going back, is how much they've coped internally with things that have happened to them.
Yeah.
And if they have not had a lot of that, and they haven't been told the truth, and the honesty hasn't been given when it should have been given from you know, being a little person, then they find it even more difficult to cope with obstacles that then start to come, and they're not, you know, they're not something they can control. And it's the controlling bit, and you understanding that life is not within our control. We just have to deal with what comes in our path and then respond to that. I feel the more and quicker that they actually understand that, the better that they can face any obstacle.
Yeah. So it's not so much focus on what the obstacle is, it's the coping mechanism for getting over the obstacle,
in my opinion.
And a child being able to just say, that's ahead of me, that's in my way, but I've got this inside me, this bravery, this strength, I can get.
Well, yeah, I mean, the situation we're living in now, who would have thought it? But you know, there's children out there who will be really suffering massively, and you know, your heart goes out to them. But going back to what we said, being honest and truthful, and allowing them to actually take on these emotions, and not to sort of say, you can't have this emotion because I won't allow it. That's not going to do them any good.
Yeah, good answer.
That's what I feel.
Good answer. Yeah. Awesome. Right, Naomi, final question.
Okay. Now, me and Samantha have talked at length about this because we love words, we love language. So, if you could choose one word which defines your values and beliefs and guides you, like a lighthouse word, which one would it be, and why have you chosen this word?
I'm laughing at myself. I've been an artist all my life, from being a tiny girl like Anna, and I can see myself sat upstairs and Dad saying, go and do me a picture of farm, and they used to give us sixpence to keep us quiet. We all got sixpence, he never chose. And I now I'm sat here rather in my art studio, and I'm doing a diploma in fine art and painting. And to me, I thought, oh, you know, what can I learn after all this time? My God, I have learned so much. So the word I'm going to choose is curiosity, because it's been in my life forever, and I've always been curious about how paint can differ, what it does, the way that you put things onto a canvas, the way that you put things together, the things you collect. Why are you curious about that and not something else? And to me, knowing what I know now, because we've furloughed our diploma course until October, I'm going to go back in October with this lighthouse word, curiosity. That's going to fuel, and has fueled me, but I realise how much all my life. So curiosity and being able to flow with it, I think makes me who I am, as this weird artist person.
Oh, absolutely fantastic answers. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, Carol. It's been amazing. Carol is a mum, a grandma, a fine artist. She's a teacher, an advocate, a self-development coach, a very spiritual lady. She believes
very spiritual lady, yes.
Yeah, and you believe in really connecting to understand. So the connection with
I think everything is connected. Don't want to interrupt you, Sam.
No, don't worry.
I've got a lot of time for you.
And also Carol's done a TED Talk, which we will be posting a link for you as well to have a look at. An incredible lady, So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. And as always, Raising a Warrior sending big hellos, big hugs from Naomi and myself, and we will be joining you very soon with some more videos and hopefully some more words of wisdom from some more Raising a Warrior meets people.
Go raise a warrior.
Take care, everybody. Bye bye.